In comparison to that game, you're only in this police station for a brief amount of time, walking down some dark hallways, taking out some of these zombies, and yes, even some of these guys who come down from the ceiling, known as the Lickers. But yes, you make your way through different rooms, opening stuff up using the police station ID card, unlocking all sorts of different doors, and yes, once you get the key, you can access the storage locker room that you probably remember, where you put in key codes to open accessible lockers to get different items. But most importantly, the key item you need is in the upstairs bathroom shower, and that is the explosive that you need to break the wall open to get to the other side. But to do that, you gotta find the battery. Once you find the battery, you put it together, place it on the wall, and kaboom! Walls down with more hordes of zombies you have to kill, and then make your way into this room, and then it's back to the main story with Jill, who's apparently the only survivor of this train crash and has to once again fight this asshole with, you guessed it, the grenade launcher, which I can't stress anymore is the key item to taking him down. And once he does go down, yeah, he's not down for good, because he regains consciousness, grabs her with his hand. She then attempts to escape, shooting the gate down, crushing him, but not long before one of his tentacles reaches her arm, severely infecting her. Yeah, no joke here, because eventually Carlos meets up with her. Yep, the two storylines finally cross paths, resulting in him taking her to the hospital, where once again you're in his shoes, and you have to make your way around a zombie-infested maze of a hospital, where you have to find a vaccine that will cure Jill. But to get the vaccine, you gotta get through some of these doors. To get through some of the doors, you gotta have the hospital ID card. Then there's some doors and even hallways you can't get through because they're blocked off by obstructions. And then there's this voice-automated door that you can only get through if you're a hospital staff member. How do you bypass through that then? You get the tape recorder and then get the tape with the voice of one of the staff members talking. Oh, and did I mention along the way, yes, say hello to these reptilian-looking zombies that you probably remember from some of the Resident Evil Revelations games. But the one thing I never quite understood is why the hell you're using your own weapons and materials when Jill has a shit ton more of them on her inventory. I mean, I know she's unconscious, but why can't she just borrow them? It would make things a hell of a lot easier getting through this hospital maze. Taking out these guys, picking these locks, but nope, apparently I guess it would have made too much sense there. So that's the way they decided to program it. But anyway, once you get to where you need to go in this hospital, get what you need, you almost have Jill brought back to full health. You got a whole horde of zombies you have to deal with, just as you find out they're about to nuke the entire town. So, you have to set up yet another explosive, as a whole horde of them are about to invade the hospital. And, well, most importantly, protect Jill, because if any of them make it into that room, well, you gotta start over. But once you're finally past this part, Jill regains consciousness, and you're back to playing as her with all the weapons and materials that you need. You pick this lock to get this door open and make your way downstairs. Then ride the big lift elevator down even further into the underground loading dock facility. And in here, your objective is to restore the power to the elevator by finding and collecting 3 different fuses to put in the fuse box. And believe me, this whole area is a freaking maze. Probably the most difficult and confusing one to figure out, at least in my knowledge. And that's mainly because there's so many dead ends, very few ladders in places that you can climb up and down. But most importantly, there's these machine lifts that you have to operate, that some have to bring you up and some have to bring you down, and whether or not they're useful to helping you get to your destination. And they play a big key role in this part of the game. There's plenty of zombies to kill in here, and oh, did I mention there's zombie dogs also in this game? Yep, there are. Kill them all. Then we finally get the power to the elevator back on. You make your way up and into the lab where you meet up with another old friend. And in here, your main objective is to find a T-virus vaccine. It would be simple enough as a team until he shows up and kills him. Bastard. So it's up to Jill, who narrowly escapes death once again, where your quest for the T-virus vaccine continues inside the lab this time. It is a maze, but it's not as tough to figure out as the underground storage section. I mean, nothing will ever top that with confusing level designs and everything like that. But in here, you do have to figure your way around, kill more zombies, but most importantly, find the override key. This is required for getting in one of the labs, which is key for finding the vaccine, which will lead you through some sets of stairs, and an elevator which you have to take up, where eventually you end up at the incubation lab. Here you get one piece of the vaccine, which is a sample, obviously. Yeah, you think it would be that easy? No, of course they had to make it a little bit trickier to get. So, once you have that and an antigen, you make your way into the room with the vaccine making equipment, where you put those two items in there and solve a puzzle, which, okay, this one's not really the hardest to figure out, but it can be a little tricky. And success, get your vaccine, escape the facility, but not long before this bastard's tentacles intervened. Okay, I kind of expected it this time, but I didn't expect, surprise, surprise, Nikolai is working against you. Yeah, that's right. You make your way in and out of the break room, just to find that he sets your ass up to fall to the bottom of the disposal center for a pretty epic two-part fight against Nemesis. The first part of the fight should seem pretty familiar, and if you have the grenade launcher and some flame rounds, well, that's your key item right there to defeating him. Moving on to the second part, which is a little bit trickier. He goes and climbs on top of the different disposable tanks, which are thankfully numbered, and what do you know, Carlos is there to help you and tell you which tank he's on top of. You shoot the two panels that are lit up red, and it'll zap him, temporarily stunning him, which will give you the opportunity to once again use the flame rounds on him. That's right, light him up, keep repeating the process, which would be easier if he didn't keep summoning these different types of zombies all around. Yeah, this can get pretty annoyingly distracting, but just get as many out of the way as you can, stay on target with this guy, and it'll eventually go down. But it's not the last fight, because then Nikolai takes Carlos hostage, leaving you with one last final battle against Nemesis himself, and holy shit, my god, what the hell is this thing? Yeah, it's Nemesis, but Jesus Christ. And as big and intimidating as he may seem, he's actually not that hard this time around. That is because you got, holy shit, this big ass gun to zap him with. After doing it once, you have to get the whole thing powered up again, and to do so, you have to push every single one of these power source things that are red to make them green again. But the only problem is that Nemesis is still alive and can cause you damage, so it's best to try to shoot and stun him, which gives you the window to move each and every one of these things in to get the power back on for this big bad boy, and then it's time to finish him once and for all. Oh yeah. But then you also have the matter of getting the vaccine back, which Nikolai apparently stole from you while holding Carlos hostage. So you make your way up to the roof and with good shooting precision, shoot him, saving the life of Carlos and getting the vaccine back. You both board the chopper and get the hell out of there as the day is saved once again. So that's Resident Evil 3 on PlayStation 4. It plays good. The mechanics and everything work fine, the characters are very well likable, sound effects and graphics are really good for PlayStation 4 standards. It has that terrific third-person perspective as I mentioned before at the beginning of this video, except there's one problem with this that you probably noted. Compared to Resident Evil 2, it's way too short. Yeah, it ends way too soon. I mean, both these games improve over their predecessors from PS1, by fixing the tank controls and the fixed camera positions. That one was nice and lengthy and worth the $60 price. This one, on the other hand, it seems like they could have put more time and effort into it, which makes it seem, well, rather rushed, in other words. So, a pretty good game, but as I mentioned before, at the beginning of this, it's definitely not worth the full price of $60, so if you can find this one on sale, check it out. But again, it just seems like they could have put more time and effort into making a much more lengthier action-adventure zombie killing game. So, my final verdict, a plain 2-ear modes up. Obviously because of the game's short length and lack of extra content, which most of us can agree on. But don't take it the wrong way, it's still a really good game otherwise. So, till next time, happy gaming.